Welcome everyone to Entrepreneur Inside Straighttalk. Tonight, we are very honored to have two special guests with us. As always, every episode, the main objective for us is to give out all the positive vibes to our entrepreneurs friends. And today, we have none other than Dato Sri Andy, the founder for Everest Group of Company, which is involved in logistics, courier, movers, and distributions. And he so happened to be Deputy President for KL Putrajaya Indian Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to the show, Dato Sri.
Thank you, Dato KK.
Welcome. Of course, last but not least, we have Vinesh Sinha, who is the founder for Fat Hopes Energy, and both of them is also the recipient for our 100 most influential young entrepreneurs. Vinesh, welcome to the show. Okay, probably I just go right into the questions. First off, what do you think of the economic impact of this COVID-19 overall to our Malaysian economy? Andy, would you want to take the question first?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, if you look into the market reality today, and everyone's panicking, okay, they just don't know what to do next.
Yes.
Okay, that's the reality today. Those who have cash power or the technology power able to focus something for their good business future. But we're talking about the SME who are still lost there to plan something. Okay, those who are not embracing the technology, those who are running on the traditional way and all this. In other way, one nutshell is about B40. Okay, we are talking about this category.
Okay.
Are they really prepared? I would say they are not really prepared. They are still waiting for announcement after announcement.
Yes.
And from the government helping hand, some stimulative packages has been introduced, but they also still don't know how to go and get it. Okay, they're still, in our other way, they are finding for good information, how to apply, how to move forward, what is there next for me, and that's one. The other side, the uncertainty of their client. When the COVID MCO been banned, we will come to a reality. We will go and then meet up our client and all this. During this time, what will be the next episode in our business?
Yeah.
Meaning to that, even me myself already received a email from my client asking for revisit back the contract price that we have before. And I'm very sure many of us will be having these issues. There will be a renegotiation of the price, the contract value, and everything will be take place. So what will be the effect of this? I wouldn't know right, but these are the things that waiting for us after the COVID-19 pandemic is over.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Andy.
Back to you, Dato.
Vinesh, your side?
From my perspective, this is an unprecedented event. We've never experienced anything close to it before, and hence anyone who can forecast or look out into the future today cannot with any high level of certainty be able to predict what's going to happen. However, what I from what I see, there is a big trust deficit in not just the economy but in society as a whole. Deficit comes from a position of fear. And fear is there are two parts to fear. One part of fear is it drives us to do crazy things. But the consolation about fear is we forget very, very quickly. I've got a lot of faith in humanity that we move through these kind of scenarios very quickly, solely because we've got a very short memory span. Now, having said that, there's going to be a lot of there are going to be many treacherous events that happen in this process that's going to affect a lot of people. Again, I don't want to go into the details because it's hard to predict. But the one thing that I have a lot of motivation and faith in is in recent unification of has come together to want to help one another in these levels of adversity. We have a big organization with quite a number of people, and because of a long-standing relationship, we are able to now lean in to one another and have difficult conversations, which, because it's a health-based pandemic, you have time. With every other economic recession, one day it was not there and the next day it was there. Whereas with this, you could see it coming. So there are going to be a lot of issues, for sure. I don't think any of us can predict what those are. But on the bright side, it's coming slow and steady and gives us time to prepare. And the second is, I think that today, because it's a global issue, everyone's coming in to help one another. So that I feel is very consoling. The global economies have already taken a big hit. Nobody's to tell how much further it's going to go, but I think with the camaraderie that the world has now come up with, we will get out of it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, well said. Knowing the fact that it will have a lot of implication for us from this COVID-19, if we want to go down specifically to your company, how does it affect your overall business, and what steps or measurement have you undertaken to counter it? Andy, would you want to take the question first?
Okay, at Everest, what we do, we engaging the people. Okay, we talk to the people, and then we see whether they can compromising or not. And from there, we are coming up as a whole team, and we demonstrate the trust relationship among the employees, and we see who can sacrifice over here if the situations arise later, because at present it's under good control, but we never knew what's going to be happen down the road another 2 months from now. Okay, end of the day, it's all about market force, and when the market is really very down, and you have to use all your little reserve to what call support your operations and also your business. So I trust in engaging our employees sincerely. Of course, they knew the situation, but it's time for us from the company go down and then explain the entire company's financial situations and where we are as of today, how long can we go with our good reserve, and what can we do from here. This way, they will feel that we are engaging them, we include them. Okay, I don't trust simply you decided to terminate someone and then or you close one department because of this pandemic or the global recession that about to come over. You haven't really see what is the outcome. So until there, why don't we over here engaging the staff and keep motivating each other and find for new opportunity, then only we decide along the way, are we in the right track, or should we re-improve again, or should we introduce new kind of services. These are the where I'm looking into it, KK.
Okay, thank you very much. Vinesh?
In regards to the impact, we are in the oil and gas industry, and this recent times have been a double whammy really for businesses in this area, because there has been an increase. I mean, we all know there's an oil war going on because of increase of supply, and there's been a drop in demand. So there's been a sharp decline in crude prices. This has significantly impacted us from the aspect of demand. And where we source our material from has been impacted by COVID, which has seen a drastic reduction in production because outlets are closed, factories are closed, not just Asia, but regionally where we now has been the impact. It's been pretty significant, but we are very confident that we will get out of this, because the energy market is a very continuous and sustainable market. At some point or the other, in the very near future, consumption will have to inevitably increase. Now, what we have been doing, and the good thing that has come out of this COVID pandemic, we have been on a digitization drive for the past 2.5 years, and that involves deploying digital assets across our supply chain to have traceability and transparency on the aggregation process, so we can identify the origination of the oil, where the oil comes from. And what has happened over the past couple of weeks, or maybe even a month, the lead up to COVID has pushed our organization, as well as all of our stakeholders who work with us, to embrace digitization and technology. So the solution was ready, but the rate of adoption was very low, because converting business as usual to the digital platform had met some resistance. But COVID has really broke that barrier for us, and we've seen a big push into digitization. Digitization has significantly improved the efficiency of the organization. Now that's one big element of what we do. But we are a big footprint company. We've got operations across the region, assets deployed across the region, and we have a very high overhead. Now we've dealt with overhead in a very delicate manner, and the reason we've dealt with it in a very delicate manner is because to me, we are our people, and without our people, we are nobody. Yes, they're refineries and they're all these high value assets within our supply chain, but without the people, we're nobody. So what we've done in regards to the cost is we've dissected our cost into three main categories. Number and put it in order of priority of where we're going to cut. The first category is intercompany payments, left pocket, right pocket payments across the region. The second is non-people related costs. So all of our leases, all of our assets across, we're relooking all of that because obviously that is a big chunk of our overhead. And we actually got our staff involved at least till top management level to look at those. So they see it coming, they know they are our control of how much we can save and how much we cannot save. So we include them in the cost cutting. And the third component is the people related costs. Now, when we come to the people related costs, we have also broken the people related costs up to three categories. One category are advisors and directors. The second category are management, and the third category is everybody below that. An internal policy has come up, and we have committed that the top two categories will take the required pay cut to ensure that the lowest category, where we have the most number of people and where they're the most vulnerable, salaries will not be touched. On top of that, we are applying for the government incentives, and that, should we get it, will be passed through directly to the people, because staying at home is more expensive than going to work. We have to accept that. Now, the one thing that's happened, the one thing that's happened over the course of the past few weeks is including our people and getting them to look through the cost bill line by line. Not just in their department, but cross departments, have provided us with a new look at how we can do what we do. We are a big organization, and we have pockets that go unlooked or unnoticed because of the nature of the organization. But this relook has really tightened up the belts and shown everyone that they can actually participate in creating value through savings. It's easy to say in a boardroom that every cent saved goes to the bottom line, but in this kind of scenarios, people see it. And today I had to have the hard discussions with all of my people to prepare them should there come a need that top management needs to take a pay cut. Now, what we do, again, very different, is we speak to people much earlier than we think it's going to come. We think that the pay cuts will need to be in place only somewhere in May or maybe even June. But we start talking about it now so that our people have time to reorganize their life. They have a full month's pay in April. And we don't shock people. That's our culture. We involve everybody in everything that we do. Number one. Number two is nobody today, when I spoke to them, was surprised, essentially because they've been part of a drastic cost-cutting exercise. They have been at the head of it, to be very honest, and I have just been taking the lead from them. So that's the second part of looking at cost. Now, the third part is today we have recognized that we have to take advantage of a crisis. We have no other choice. Now, what I mean by this is, which we were talking about, how employers feel bad to pay full salaries because people are only delivering 50% of the value. I beg to differ. They might not be doing the same things, but they today can reflect on what they were doing and create better ways to do what they're doing. And that comes through a cost-cutting exercise, because they will have, the message is very clear. We are going to be paying more for less. Now, how can we do that? How can we support each other to, but I am very lucky that we are able to drive our workforce like this, because it has been a camaraderie for quite some time now. We've been at this for a decade. We are the underdog. We are doing something that has got no comparison. So there's this willingness to want to see it succeed, because there's a passion behind what we do. And I think as a culture, that is very important, because today the comparison is not whether I go to work in place A or place B. Today, the comparison is, if I go to work, am I going to make a change in the world? And I think every one of us deserve the right to have the influence in changing the world.
Yeah, well said. But of course, look, bringing back to the employer-employee relationship right now. Right now is a very sensitive, I would say very sensitive timing, because as what I mentioned earlier on, productivity, of course, will be lower. Some of the job function needs to be repurposed. And of course, during this time, we encourage most of our staff to actually relearn. But the most important thing is at this sensitive and critical timing, how can we build trust and realign our company values to all our employees? Andy?
Okay, as per what I shared just now, back
Mm-hmm.
again, we must have a trust relationship. Trust relationship is where the employees or the employer will not have suspicious on each other move or each other directions that we intend to go. One classic example, let's say I request my staff to go on the multitasking. Okay, how will he take it this? Is he will be think that the boss is make use of me or punishing me of my past poor record, or is it said my boss need me, he need me to support him at this time? What could be the true mindset or the thought that he will have when I'm engaging or request him to do something? So the perspective of this particular employee, we have two points to stand here. Then employer, how will we look at it? Will he obey? Will he do full-heartedly or wholeheartedly, or do he taking us for granted again? These are the realistic. So we at Everest, we have a good culture. It's called Ubuntu. Ubuntu is where I am here because we are. Okay, that's the culture that's set at Everest. So whatever we discuss, we always group up the people and then we engaging these people, and the people will give us a constructive business ideas as well. By engaging, I would say the company keep moving and I feel alive rather than a few board of directors just taking a good decision from the boardroom. But whatever the discussion we had in the boardroom, it has to be also escalate back down to the employees. So we are looking at a, a complete organization from head to toe. We are in the same direction. So at this point of time, I'm keep on engaging my staff, our stakeholder, our customers. We getting update from them, and then I escalate back this information
Yeah.
back to the
Mm-hmm.
HODs, and this way everyone feel connected to you, KK.
Yeah, thank you for your answer. Vinesh, the most important part that can basically seal us through in the corporation is our culture, is how strong our team right now is aligned with each other. Maybe you can share with us the culture for Fab Hopes and what are the activities or actions that you all have undertaken to actually build trust in this challenging time.
So culture is not something that comes overnight. I am very grateful that we prioritize culture development from the early days of the organization. And I think that has been the epitome of success of the organization that has grown organically. The market has really pulled us on and we've embraced the demand so far. Um, I, I realized quite early on that culture cannot be created internally. Culture needs to be hired into. So we as entrepreneurs need to be very focused on our direction. We need to be very steadfast. Once we set our direction, we cannot waver. And we need to be very, very good in our recruiting to get the best alignment of the people to the culture. That, in my mind, is a cheat to developing really good culture really, really quickly. Now that's just getting started. Beyond that, communication is vital to ensure that the relationships thrive within this culture that we have hired into. Consistency of support of the culture of one another, not just supporting one another, but reinstating this culture that exists, that we are here for one another, In our organization, we have one very good driving factor, which is we want to save more carbon so that the environment gets better for all of us. So that's one key driving fundamental within the organization that has brought everybody together. But I think every organization needs to find that one purpose to pull everybody into, so that everybody has a reason to appear in the morning at work. Now, in building trust, I think that, again, trust is something that cannot be demanded. It has to be earned. And the only way I believe in building trust or earning trust is through compassion. Business till today, business lacks compassion. And we forget that business is not done between two computers. Business is done between two human beings who fundamentally have the same needs as one another. And whenever we go into a negotiation, into any interaction, if we approach it with compassion, like as if we were speaking to somebody really, really dear to us, I believe we'll be very different, and we will have much easier conversations around hard topics. And that's what we need to do, because it's easy to have hard conversations, but can you lull over hard conversations? Can you discuss hard conversations? And that's why for us, today we are so confident in the culture that we don't have to tell people you have to take a 30% pay cut. We ask people, what would you like to, what do you think you can contribute? And they turn around and they give us numbers that are way beyond our expectation. And that's because we came from a position of compassion. We are not here to cut people's salary and for them to be distressed and get into more debt, because eventually we will have more problems, because we are going to save our staff should they get into more debt. So if you look at it in a holistic perspective like that, alignment becomes very easy, because fundamentally human beings have the pyramid of needs. Greed gets involved in that, but if we at the top of the organization do not show that we need more than we have, I think it's quite easy to align everyone, and building trust around a mentality like that becomes a lot easier, because it's really family orientated.
Yeah, Vinesh, just now you were saying something that really struck me. We hired into our culture. So how do you know when you do hiring, the candidates can actually, the DNA actually match, the candidate actually can fit in right well into your culture? And maybe before that also, you can explain to us, what is your culture?
So our culture is essentially, we are one family and we're there for one another, right? We do not try to define it too much, because I believe that anybody can do everything. And we do not really have segmented departments. We are all hands on deck all the time. Of course, we all have specialities in each area, but the culture that has been developed is really, how can we reach the end goal collectively, right? And that, I don't know if you want to call it a teamwork or you want to call it camaraderie, but it's this belief that we can achieve more together. And again, we are unique because we have gone and done something that nobody else has done. So it's easy to impart and to show from examples of what Fat Hopes has done. And if they want to be part of it, this is the way. The second thing, which I think I mentioned earlier, is compassion. We do it from the heart before the mind. Yes, we all understand that we have to make money to survive, but we don't need to make exorbitant amount of money at the expense of people. So we do it from the perspective that saving the environment and taking care of society needs to happen with economic viability, but it does not need to happen with astronomical economic viability. And sharing is part of this entire process, because our philosophy at top management or at the helm of this organization is, we want a transgenerational organization. We want an organization that's going to be here for centuries to come. And the only way to do that is to share the piece of the pie so that everyone is in it together. And on the hiring, it was one of my biggest challenges as an entrepreneur. The hiring initially started off like going to a supermarket and picking people. I was very immature when I started my business. I was 18 years old and I knew no better. But very quickly, I realized that if we didn't do it well, we would fail, right? Especially with the constraints of a startup. We had very, very limited capital. We had very limited accessibility to talent because of the market situation at that point. It was boom, late, just after 2012, 2013. So what I started to do was, I started to spend a lot more time with candidates of the people that are going to be close to me. management, and I brought them to my house. I spent a lot more time with the individuals or the candidates one on one, and sometimes up to months. My COO actually mirrored me for 1 year with no salary, and literally carried my bag everywhere I went, to watch what we do, and only 1 year later took the job on with us. We have had the liberty to inspire people, for them to come onto this path of to a certain extent saving the world and saving the environment. But one big step different was I spent a lot more time with the people that I was recruiting, and I have made sure all my line managers that do hiring today do the same, because you only know people from spending time with them. There's no other way. And it's not about what are the questions you ask and what are the answers you get. It's about the feel that you have. It's about the chemistry that you have with that person. Because this team, you can go and bring the top performer from the best company tomorrow, but if you don't have the chemistry with him, that relationship is not going to work and the team is not going to be built. So it has to be chemistry, number one. Number two is values. And values to me is very important. And what I mean by values is, you say you're going to deliver something. If it's subpar, it's okay, but meet the timeline, right? One value, timeliness. Accuracy is another value that we look for. So we look for key values in these individuals, because, like I said earlier, I believe that anybody can do anything. I'm a college dropout. I don't have formal education to do what I do. And if I can do what I've done, I believe all my employees, I don't need to hire a chemistry graduate to conduct tests in my lab. I can go out of the box, as long as we have the correct values and the correct driving factors coupled with the correct chemistry. It's a very, very complex formula. The only way that you're going to do it as an entrepreneur, if I may suggest, is to jump in there into the deep end and just start talking to people and follow your gut. If it feels right, do it.
Yeah, it's all about gut feels.
No, for
And
sure.
the other thing is, let's put you in this scenario, because for the past few weeks of interviewing, and I get some feedback, be it on private messages or emails. There are some entrepreneurs that are facing this issue. Their core team that they thought was their core team, at this critical timing, ends up, as far as the entrepreneur is concerned, is actually not his real core team. Which means when the time calls for stepping up, when the time calls for sacrifices, somehow or rather, this particular entrepreneur doesn't really feel that the team is right behind him. So of course, we know different entrepreneurs will showcase different type of leadership. So if you were to be in that situation, what would you do?
Okay. Again, here we are talking about a good leadership, right from very beginning. As an entrepreneur, what kind of leadership have you demonstrated? It's a fundamental question now. Who are you and your ideology? How do you treat your team right from very beginning is what you will be get now. Okay. Another way, sorry to use these words, probably the karma. Okay. Sorry for saying this, but then this the right words. Okay. How do you treat them from very beginning? See, from very beginning, if you are into the money-oriented particular person, and then you all this while only knew how to make money, but you forgot about your team who sacrifices and they work a lot for you. And when come to this difficult time, and now you back again to your team and you request for a help, put yourself into a particular shoe. If you're the employee and you've been treated such as, and you come back again and asking for a help, what will you do as an entrepreneur? The same scenario, what's happening the other side. Again, that's the reason I said from very beginning, reset. If you have this particular situation at your organization, reset. Okay, should you need to make, sorry to say, apologize to mistreating them whatsoever, please go. How do you say this from very beginning? Have a trust relationship. Only the trust relationship can save this situation. You have to go back again to your own team because you need them. Okay, and talk to them. Okay, look, forget about all the past. Okay, we've been, in our own way of doing the business and all this. You have your understanding, same goes to me. But then can we reset towards the aim goal at this pandemic global fever? From here, what we can see, you will be see a kind of like the HOD or the leader or the good employees come forward. Okay, you need them in your organization. when they come forward, okay, they also allow them to speak, first of all. And then they also have the opportunity to say where the company direction that they feel is not right. Or in the other way, they can highlight about the company weaknesses. Allow this team to speak, first of all. Include them, don't exclude them. If you can do this, definitely they will have a little hope and also the trust in our organization. When this can be sensed by the entrepreneur, he also must react towards that. He must show some good example that he have changed, he is care to his employee, and therefore both of them are into the same dream.
Well said. Yeah, Vinesh, talking about sacrifice, of course, sacrifice takes both sides, employer as well as employee side. What if, okay, this is the pretext, okay, entrepreneur side thinks he is treating the team okay, is it taking care of the team, taking care of their welfare and whatnot. But when it comes the time for him to ask for the team for sacrifices, the team refused. They said, I did not sign up for this. This is not part of my job description. And I'll just stay put as where it is. I'm working 9 to 6. I will not contribute more, nor will I contribute less. So how would you deal with this group of employees?
So first off, I would acknowledge that I have failed as the entrepreneur. And I think that is the most important first step. I kill myself when I have one employee like that. And I think we should all look at it that way. And the ideology I use is very simple. When you get a stranger like a maid into your house, and after 3 weeks, if you are still feeling awkward with that person, you will have a problem with it. And I think employees are, to a certain extent, very, very similar in that context. You need to bring them into the home, right? Now, so that's the first thing, acknowledge that you failed. The second is the approach in which that we take to solve the problem. So the problem is, as an entrepreneur, I think there shouldn't be a vendetta that you need to take a pay cut. A particular Mr. X needs to take a pay cut for us to succeed. It needs to be a quantum. It needs to be a bigger picture. How much is it that we need to reduce so that we can continue, so that we can see to the end of this pandemic? And that amount should be a target put for everybody to contribute to. And that's what we've done. We said we need to save $1 million a month. Where is that $1 million going to come from? You will have some people that contribute more and some people that will contribute less. Yes. But that movement of people empowering people, when one guy, it starts with one guy picking up his hand and saying, okay, I will take 40% pay cut. I can release 4 more lorries because I will optimize and I'll work more hours. I can do this and I can do that. And it always happens like this. When one person speaks, another 2 people will speak. When 3 people speak, 5 people will speak. When 5 people speak, 500 people will speak. So it's not about the individuals. It's not about, I have been here for you, why are you not here for me? It's not. It is that the business needs to save X for us to survive. Would you all like to be part of the survival or the death? If we are going to die, it's better you don't be here, because we won't be here to hire you. So it's almost like saying to them, if you don't take a pay cut, there's no business, right? There's no company. But you say it in a very nice way, that this is the total target. And this is the amount that we all have to work into. And you get the people to rally the people, because that's the best way. Sitting in a boardroom and trying to tell somebody what they need to do is the worst approach. You are definitely going to be faced with resistance. And I think this comes from, if you look at it from a sales perspective, this is the way you do sales. You go in and you find out the key problems. And then you get support around it to try and solve those problems. And if you approach it that way, the person who doesn't contribute will feel left out, will eventually be left out. And if he is not part of that group, not even my good books, part of the group of the people that have sacrificed, he will feel bad and they will give him shit for it. Eventually, you will have this thing that spreads to every single one. And after a while, you get people volunteering. We have been really lucky. We have been met with several disasters in the past, not at this scale, of course, but because when the going got tough, this is the way we dealt with it. So it's not the first time that we have come to these kind of situations. It's not been as acute and not as big, but we have always had the hard conversations, and we've addressed it as, you know what, we need to save $1 million. We directors have taken an 80% pay cut. That's all I can do because I still need to survive. I've sold 3 of my cars, and would you all like to contribute? That's the way we've always addressed it.
Yeah, I mean, how can we, okay, is it too late for us to build culture right now during this MCO time when the crisis hit?
If you ask me, there are two opinions that you'll be hearing from me. The first one definitely is too late. Okay, because when you're trying to introduce something at this point of time, the employee might see that we are opportunities. You get me? This is one. I would say their stand probably. They might think that oh, you have a situation now, and you come back to us. Where were you during your glory times? Of course, most of the employees are come with a negative mind. But again and again, right from very beginning, I've been saying this: you still have the opportunity to go down to their level, build back the trust relationship. Tell them, bygone is bygone. Okay, today we are here not because of you or me, but because of the global pandemic. Okay, the entire people on earth are facing some kind of life and death threat. It's not a time for you to say whether it's your mistake or my mistake. We have to come down together. We have to reset back whatever the wrong practices or the wrongdoing here. So again, this is my good vision now. This is my value now. This is what I'm aiming to do. Should we can cross this pandemic, okay? These are the reward that I'm going to introduce you. Should we made it, okay, during this crisis? So the employee side, they will be start to be thinking whether they will be analyzing you as well. They will see whether you are telling from your heart or from your brain. So here, see, people are very genius. Okay, today they can read also. If they can feel that what you're trying to share are coming from your heart and mind, they will eventually, chances are very high for them to be with you and to support your new start of culture and also the vision. Again, when I talk about this, that's the reason I foresee all these crises will be coming every 10 years. Then that's the reason I started this culture last 12 years ago, Ubuntu, as I said.
Mhm.
Ubuntu in
I'm
African
here
tribals is
because we are.
absolutely. So whatever we do, we always including the people right from very beginning. And at this point of time, I don't feel that my team are having kind of like suspicious act or suspicious kind of like thought in their mind whenever we're trying to say something or request them to do this particular tasking. I feel fortunate here to have a winning team. Okay, from very beginning, I do have this winning team, and this winning team now is helping me during my this difficult time together with the rest of the BOD and all this. And again, for me, back again to your question, you have one chance here because it's not the entrepreneur mistake or entrepreneur failure here. It's a virus, and the virus become a pandemic, and this is beyond control. So we can go and then have a heart-to-heart discussion with our staff, our stakeholder, our employees, our teammates, our HODs, and explain very well. But then you must have a concrete business plan. What are you going to do?
Mhm.
That's all.
Yeah, thank you very much. Vinesh?
So my honest view is it's too late. Culture is not built overnight.
Mhm.
However, there is, I think, still a lot of hope, and the reason there's a lot of hope is because opportunities are extremely limited. So people tend to want to stick around in the presence of fear. Now, that to me poses a great opportunity because I believe that with the if it's approached with compassion, if the engagement with the employees come from a standpoint of compassion, it could. I don't know whether it could turn around, but it could allow you to weather this storm, right? If we all are able to look out for one another with compassion, like how we do for our friends and our family, within the organization, I believe that that organization would sail through. Now, when the most important thing is when we get out of this, don't forget that we actually needed the culture and get to work on building it from today with the basis of compassion, and don't waver on it as things get better. My biggest concern is that humanity, as I said, has got a very short memory span, and after we get out of this, everyone goes back to normal. That then will be disaster, because the people who stuck by you because they needed to, and to a certain extent they felt the compassion that you have, will feel totally misled and mistreated when they arrive. So to me, we need to focus not so much on today, because today is easy. The easy part of today is, this is what has to be done, let's do it. We need to set up a support structure for our employees post this pandemic. And the reason I say that is, no one can look into a crystal ball and see how long the economic situation is going to sustain, right? So I am very focused on 6 months down the road. I'm ready for what is happening right now to go on for 6 months, and we're thinking about what we're going to do 6 months down the road. And I think if you display that you are thinking for the next 6 months and post 6 months for them, they will see it. And not just say, I've got this honky-dory plan. Engage them and involve them in understanding what are their complexities. We come up with bespoke packages for individuals. One of my employees has a daughter that's just going to university. Another one has a young child that's going to daycare and nursery. We don't use one brush for everybody. Everyone is unique. We deal with them very differently, and we do very unique things. I mean, talking about daycare, I went out and I looked for a daycare center where I could put all my employees together, including mine. And that is what we did 2 years ago. Now, the impact of that is phenomenal. There is no hierarchy barrier between my employees and me just because their kids go to the same daycare as mine. And these are the things that you have to think about when you look at your people. A lot of people say to me, Vinesh, you can send them to international school. I'm like, guys, it's not about the level of education. Can you guarantee me today that what they're learning in school will be relevant when they're 25 years old? I don't think so. It is about the human connections that we create today and foster over the next 20 years that is going to decide how our future is going to be. So to me, it's very, very people-centric. Now, driving a good culture that is result-orientated goes back to aligning the people why. We say what we want to do is be productive so that we can make money. We always go to the why. Let's forget the what. Start with the why. And if the why is making money, don't do that business. If that why is solving a real world problem, then look at the number of people that are suffering from that real world problem. The bigger the number of people suffering from that real world problem, the bigger the viability of your business. And for us, we look at air pollution. Every single one of the 7 billion people on this planet suffer from air pollution. And that's the business opportunity. Now, if you start with that why, and you center that as the business value and the purpose around why everyone comes to work, you will inevitably get productivity, because we are racing against time to solve this unified issue that we have identified, and we all feel that it's really, really important for us to make a significant difference before we die, because we understand this problem together. It's not an isolated problem. It's a problem that all of us face. So to me, it's very important to start with the purpose, start with why. And if you start with why and empower your people to believe and understand that they can contribute to solving the why, they will be productive, inevitably. And that's why I've hardly touched on productivity drop during this MCO period, although a lot of us work from home, including myself. We are actually more productive today than we were back in the office, because we are in emergency mode. We are in a mode where we need to support one another. We need to know if everybody's okay. We're constantly on the phone and, hey, dude, if you're too busy, what can I do? That's what needs to happen. I am actually thinking whether we should even go back to work as normal. Should we go back to the office? Because we have been extremely productive. We've been extremely close to one another, even though we're not physically close to one another. And I think the physical distancing has actually brought us closer to one another, because today we take the effort to want to do these things. I mean, look at what we're doing on Zoom right now. Right? In a normal day, we could have done this, but we didn't. But today, during this situation, we want to help one another. We are empowered and we are motivated to reach out and say, hey, dude, I have 10 minutes. Is there anything I can do? And I think we need to have trust that in every single one of us out there is that in us that wants to do that.
True, totally agree. Now, the next question is, Andy, what is a good culture for you?
A good culture is all about being so simple, yet is achievable and can be understood very well to the grassroots level, not only on the corporate level or the BOD, but to the cleaner as well. Do they follow you? Do they understand very well of your culture? That's where everything, how to say this very well in one word, is it's how you run your organizations. Okay, for the people to see this in layman terms. They understand. Okay, no need to make it so complicated with all kind of SOP and all this. Okay, put it very simple, straightforward, easy to understand by everyone who's joining your company, and easy to follow as well. And at the same time, possible, make it very fun. Okay, it shouldn't be seen as a more rigid. Okay, make it more fun. Like one good example, AirAsia, how Tony runs this organization. That guy is very funny at times. Okay, with his fellow employees, he like to be jovial sometimes. Don't be so serious. Today we are in the engaging mode. Okay, treat them as part of the family and have a genuine communication. Another way is if you sense something wrong or they are unwell, no harm for you go down and then find out from them, hey, what happened to you? Are you okay? That small little attention must be given to these employees. Okay, they will feel that you're appreciating them. Simple.
Yeah, totally agree. Vinesh, what is a good culture for you? And also, can you share with us what are some of the ways that we can implement in building trust among our employees?
To us, an important culture is the 4 points I put down here. One is transparency. And what we mean by transparency is allowing yourself to be vulnerable to one another. Because if every one of us team members know each other well, and usually knowing each other well revolves around constraints. And when we come to work to alleviate these constraints, we try to make more money so that we are more comfortable for the family. So showing vulnerability has been something that's very dear to me. I'm not shy to show people when I'm vulnerable, and I embrace vulnerability. And I try to instigate my people to embrace vulnerability. And I give you an example of how we did it. We came up with a point system with no bonus. We have a point system based on financial performance within the company that's announced quarterly. Now, there are some key criteria that disqualify individuals from that quarterly bonus. Now, everyone who gets disqualified, that quantum of money goes into a welfare fund. This welfare fund is operated by a committee. The first committee was appointed by the directors. This committee changes every 3 months. This committee uses this money to lend out to the staff for specific reasons. Primary mode of transport, primary home, children's education, or health related. Right? There are only 4 reasons they give the money out. It's a zero interest loan and it's deducted from the salary as it comes back. Now, these are not big amounts of money. These are small amounts of money. But what has happened is, let's say I'm one person in the team that wants to apply for the loan. I have to go and talk to my friend who is part of the committee and tell him my sad story. Tell him my mother is in hospital and she's going through dialysis and I need to borrow X amount of money to do this. We do not have HR deal with this because then the stories are isolated. Now, as we do more of this where people help people because of committees, everybody gets to know each other much better. Today, there are 3 people within our within the committees, which have been past committees, that know 3 people who have bought a new house because they borrowed from this fund to buy the house. They went for their housewarming. They were very happy because they recommended to the board of directors to release this loan. So everybody knows everybody a lot better, and everybody inevitably has to come out and show their vulnerability. Show that I'm getting a child, I want to move into a new house, and I need to borrow this money. So transparency and vulnerability sound very different, but to me they're very, very similar. Because if we show everything, your vulnerability will also show. Your strengths will show, your vulnerabilities will show. Strengths come out very naturally. Vulnerabilities get hidden, they get buried. And I think enough is the time for us to hide vulnerability, because only when we know each other's vulnerability can we respect one another and not cross each other's boundary. So that's one thing. I mean, one thing that we've done to really personify this idea of transparency and showing vulnerability. The other one is don't look away. And what we mean by don't look away is there's no such thing in Fat Hoops Energy that, oh, I did my part in my department, he didn't do
Yeah.
his part, that's why we have failed. I never accept that. To me, it's either a job gets done or a job doesn't get done. If a job gets done, everybody enjoys themselves. If a job doesn't get done, everybody has a hard time. That's it, right? And because I have been pretty haphazard, I don't hold one person accountable for one thing. I hold everybody accountable for everything. Randomly, we have developed this culture of don't look away, because everyone's thinking, hey, even though that is not me, but if boss passes now, he might also ask me about it. I better go and find out, right? And that has worked very well, because in a high risk business, we've got lots of trucks. We're in a very flammable business. We run refineries. In a high risk business, if we have this mentality of that's your problem, this is not my problem, we will see people die. We will see people not using a harness, climbing a tank, and the other friend not saying something about it, and
Yes.
fall and die. And we have really pushed on don't look away from a safety perspective, but it has really encompasses everything else. Because we are in high exposure business, this has come in very obvious. Now, these first and second point lead me into my third point, which is lean into one another. If you don't
Really?
look away, you are inevitably or you are indirectly supporting somebody else. If you show your vulnerability, we are humans. You tell me a sad story, I feel bad. I will want to lean into you. It's automatic. It's human nature. So lean into one another. And when we are vulnerable, we know each other's weaknesses. We know how far we can go. That leaning in tends to be more than usual. If I didn't know you so well, I will lean in, but I will be hesitant to go too far because I don't know if you're comfortable with it. But if I know some of your vulnerabilities, I will lean in even more because I come from a position of compassion. And that leads me to my last point. Compassion is really doing it because you want to do it. It's not love. It's doing it because you mean well, doing it because you feel for somebody else. It's not doing it because I have to do it. If anybody comes into work to do it because they have to do it, it's the wrong place for them to be. And my perspective is we spend most of our waking years at work, right? I did this math many years ago. If you multiply the number of hours that we are awake in a day by the average life expectancy, we only have 400,000 hours in our life. If we collect a ringgit for every waking hour, we won't even become a millionaire. And my philosophy is out of the 400,000 hours, you are spending at least 280,000 hours working. And if you are not happy working, you have wasted your life. So when I see staff or employees that are not happy, I tell them, please go to somewhere where you will be happier. And if you need me to help you find that, I will. Because the more people you help, the more people will come in and be happy. So to me, it's really leading from a position of compassion and making sure everybody is compassionate and happy at what they do.
Yeah, indeed. After this COVID-19, what will change and what will not change in your company?
I think we don't change much. Okay, we are running on the good track. Okay, the only change now is the fear. Fear factor is there, and people will have a little bit of tough time. And the businesses that we are engaging right now, we will see whether they will still with us or not, especially the client. And other than that, I really don't see much because you see, human beings have one tendency. We tend to forget very fast. Okay, when businesses back, I mean, COVID-19 been lifted up. Okay, and then the MCO been taken back. People will come back again to the day-to-day routine, and we will go back again to good yamsing, tetare, whatsoever.
Yes.
Slowly, we tend to forget what has happened. Okay, we have many incidences in Malaysia as well as globally, but we recall each and every time we have a situation, we are not. The good ability for the human being is moving forward. Okay, we always want to go forward, move forward. We have a situation, we pull the handbrake, we watch all the surroundings, perfect, back, release the handbrake and move forward. That's about a good ability and also the criteria that we human being having. And I'm very sure a lot of my good friends is already, waiting for me to go for good tetare, engaging back, appreciate all whatever we have. So within June, I would have said, I think we'll be back almost to 70% to the track.
Yeah, Vinesh, what will change and what will remain?
I think for us, a lot will change, and a lot will change for the better. And the reason for that is I look at this entire episode as an acid test to our resilience and our robustness to deal with difficult situations. And we've shown one another that when you are when you are in an emergency, your only option is to emerge. I mean, it's common, right? How low can you go? The only way is up. And because we have pushed the limits to test one another, we've pushed the limits in belief for one another. We've pushed the limits to test whether the trust is real. And we have really, I think, brought to the forefront. We put money where our mouth is, right? So all of this time we've been talking about it. Today we're displaying it. And we're not just displaying it to ourselves, we're displaying it to our entire supply chain and the ecosystem we operate within. So I think that the bonds in the relationships are going to be way stronger. It's going to be accelerated. If the relationship has been for 10 years, I think it's going to feel like it's been for 30 years because of the adversity that we have overcome together. And I'm extremely pleased to want to expect that. And not just with our employees, not just with our suppliers, but with our customers and across our supply chain. Because the one thing that we have not done is we have not left people high and dry. We have not renegotiated contracts. We have not terminated people who have even delayed on us. We have not. And the reason we have not is because I believe that even if we lose money during this period, if we are there for others today, tomorrow somebody will be there for us. I have no visibility as to a financial recovery plan, but I have a very high level of faith in the people that we are working with and in the entire ecosystem. At some point or the other, when we can't do anymore, somebody will be there for us. And that belief comes from the fact that we've strengthened our bonds, and we've really leaned into each other to look at this scenario. And it's an issue that's that we are all facing. We are not exclusive, or there's no sad fact to look into to say that we are the only ones going through this. So for me, there will be big changes, and like I said, the relationships will be a lot stronger. The other big element is I think we will all have a much higher level of appreciation. Appreciation just not for people, but appreciation for our jobs, appreciation for our healthcare system, appreciation for our personal health, appreciation at multiple levels. This MCO has given us time to sit and reflect individually because we've had just so much time alone that inevitably this has gone through people's minds. And appreciation, I think, will then translate into gratitude. And gratitude is how can we reciprocate? How can we ensure that we are able to work together to fend away such situations in the future? I like I said, we do forget very quickly, but the good thing is we always forget the pain. We hardly forget pleasure. And I will ask you to think of the few times that you have been inflicted with pain. You can't remember how painful it was, but you can definitely remember the best holiday you had. And to me, that's important. It's about forgetting the pain, remembering what was great about this time, and depending on that, the next time such a thing happens.
Oh, well said. Okay, as what you all know, this show is all about giving out as much positive energy as we can, and also hopefully in one way or another, the smallest matter of way, we can boost some of the entrepreneurs out there, which currently they are also finding their ways. They are re-strategizing. Maybe both of you gentlemen can impart some words of inspiration that somehow or rather can motivate a little bit for all our viewers tonight. Hopefully, with your blessing, they can, push themselves just a little bit stronger. They can tell themselves, probably I should quit, but not now. I should just hang on for another month, the next month, the following month. Andy, would you want to go first?
I start with the magic word. It's called hope. I'm sure everyone knows the particular good abbreviation for that. Hold on, pain's end. Hold on, pain's end. With that magic word, I start here again this motivation factor to fellow entrepreneur revisit back your past, see how far you have come to this level where you are today. Okay, how many years, what kind of struggles that have you faced before, and you are here today just because of the COVID-19. Would you like to give up? This is a normal process in this world. Okay, another 10 years also, don't forget, it will become back again in different form, because
Yes,
we are witnessing this every 10 years. So
correct.
what is there for you to get worried in all this? You already come across from 1998 to be very actual, 88, 87, and then the 2098, 97, 97, 98, 2007, 2008, and
Mhm.
18 and 19. Every 10 years, we had this situation. Okay, problem same. Okay, it's probably the global recession. Okay, don't pay attention too much on the negative side. Okay, because people are very free, they throw everything in social media. Don't
Yeah.
simply take it as the genuine content. Okay, do analysis. Okay, take your time and read more. Okay, get more books, motivation books, and all this. Okay, all the great emperor, the great mogul, the great business tycoons, they have a good habit. Read
Mhm.
that habit. What are they doing during their tough time? Okay, so that we also can overcome this. And at this point of time, I still would say that the government don't just leave us like that. The government are trying, doing their level best. Okay, we have a SRF, we have many other stimulus package that been lined up by the government. We just have to apply, and then we'll get some assistance. You're not alone in this case here. The governments are with you, the fellow entrepreneurs are with you, the good friends are with you, and also your employees are with you. What is there for you to worry? Why you put everything on your head? Rightfully, you have to be very, kind of like with your smiling face. Okay, thank God that we're still alive.
Mhm.
That's most important. Many people are dying as well, isn't it? Okay, we are still alive, and we have a most precious life that we need to be, pay attention up to this, especially on your good diet, your health manner. How do you carry yourself up to this? The life appreciation is more towards the in the end for me. If you think that one need to be how grateful we should be, I would have said, thank God I'm still alive.
Well said. Vinesh?
I will start with if not you, then who? And if not now, then when? And if not this, then what? That's sincerely what drives me every day. And if you have a issue answering any one of those questions, I would take advantage of this crisis and rethink in totality. The one thing that we always talk about the negativity of this crisis. I think there is a big opportunity in this crisis to relook everything that we are doing. If it's on the right path, continue. If you feel it's shaky, solve it now, start now. And the reason is because in this scenario of adversity, we will have the level of support that is needed to make the difficult calls. So if you look, I think all of us know there are many companies looking for an excuse to to have a cost cutting exercise. And if you look at it from that perspective, this is the perfect storm for you to address that. There's a reason to do it. So the one piece of motivation is, guys, take advantage of this crisis. It's a big opportunity for you to relook what you're doing. The second thing is, I call myself a workaholic. I worry every single second about everything that's going on within the organization. And
Mhm.
let me have you know that I look at worrying in a very, very positive way. I will be worried if I am not worried. And the reason is because if you have a child and your child is running around and is 1.5 years old, and you are on your phone, you are not a good parent. I mean, full stop, right? You have to be worried for the child's safety. And I look at my company exactly the same way. We need to be constantly worried, and that shows that you're on the ball. And if you are constantly worried, it then goes to show that you most probably will have the highest chance of solving whatever the problem is, because you are worried and you have been thinking about it. If you've been negligent and you're not bothered about what's going on, then there is room for concern. So the second thing is, worry is good. Don't look at worry as a negative, with a negative connotation, because it clearly shows that what you're doing matters to you, and the people that are involved matter to you, and that's why you're worrying. So I would say worry more. Sorry, in a very nice way, worry more.
Yes.
And I will leave all the entrepreneurs with one thing. Please don't forget that the difference between failure and success is that the person who succeeded tried just one more time. And that one more time is the most important compared to the past 1 million times that you've tried. Now, what can you do if you're tired for trying so much? What can you do different to make this next try your best try? Because the difference between success and failure is just one more try.
Well said. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Well, the biggest takeaway for me, of course, will be we got to have hope. And hope, of course, is hold on, the pain shall end. And when you are on the verge of giving up, just tell yourself, just give it one more try. And for what you know, success is just inches away. With that, thank you very much for our both gentlemen, Andy and Vinesh, for your kind sharing and your selfless sharing. It really inspired me a lot personally, and I'm sure all our audience tonight also will feel the same. Thank you very much, and hope all of you stay safe and stay at home. And for those that worries a lot, worries just gives you another perspective to solve the problem creatively, innovatively, and let us all work together and don't give up. We shall sail through it together. Thank you very much, and good night, everyone.